Welcome back to another episode of 10 Minutes with Travis. This week we need to talk about Oregon. Oregon? Oregon? Oregon. 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 No, that's like organs. If the only thing you know about Oregon is that Portland is kind of weird and a bunch of people died of dysentery on a computerized trail to get there, you're not alone. Why couldn't those oxen ever survive the river crossing? Ever. But maybe your ears pricked up over the weekend as reports started making national headlines that Republicans in Oregon had fled the state and were being hunted by state troopers, and armed militias were making threats against the state capitol. Or maybe you missed all that because it was the first weekend of summer, and maybe you were too busy trying to figure out if Taylor Swift's hairdo meant she was about to come out of the closet. Spoiler alert, she's not gay, but she does love our money. So what are Republicans in Oregon so afraid of that they'd rather hide in Idaho than sit through a vote? Turns out they're running from an idea they helped create. You see, Democrats in the state are about to pass a bill that would reduce the amount of carbon produced in the state because the planet is, what's the scientific word? Dying. The planet is dying. But the bill they're about to vote on isn't some radical left-wing policy forcing everyone to drive plant-based Priuses while listening to the Indigo Girls harmonize with Nancy Pelosi about the merits of gender-neutral bathrooms. That's a song I did listen to. Throw some Taylor in there? What? Instead, Oregon Democrats are trying to pass what's known as a cap-and-trade bill, where industry is able to buy and sell the right to pollute, an idea first cooked up in the 80s under President George H.W. Bush as a market-based solution to rampant pollution. Market-based solution to rampant pollution. Lin-Manuel, you can call me. I'm available. Because in the 80s, while scrunchies were ruining people's hair, power plants were ruining the air by emitting huge amounts of sulfur dioxide, which came back down to Earth as acid rain, damaging lakes, forests, and buildings all throughout eastern Canada and the United States. Now, this was unrelated to the emerging trend of acid-washed jeans, but both were highly alarming. In response, many environmentalists at the time wanted the government to require power plants to install these scrubbers, but the industry said that would be way too expensive. So during the Reagan administration, Congress tried and failed to pass 70 different bills to deal with the problem. Things got so bad at one point, the Prime Minister of Canada joked about declaring war on the US, and not just because of the jeans. After Bush was elected in '88, his administration put forward an idea that both the utility companies and the environmentalists were skeptical of. It was an idea that the government wouldn't tell the utility companies exactly how they had to reduce emissions, only that they'd be putting a price on emissions and an overall limit, or cap, on total emissions allowed. So, if a particular plant wanted to pollute more, they could buy more credits to do so. But if they emitted less, they could trade or sell any unused credits on an open market. And then, gradually, over time, this overall cap would be reduced. It's not bad. So this came to be known as cap and trade and was passed as part of the Clean Air Act of 1990. But no one knew if it would actually work until 1995, when the first cap went into effect. Environmentalists thought this idea would just allow companies to buy their way out of polluting, and industry thought this would cost them an unsustainable $25 billion a year. Turns out, both sides were wrong. In 1995, when the cap went into effect, acid rainfall emissions fell by nearly 3 million tons that year, ahead of the schedule put forth in the law. And yes, it cost industry, but only $3 billion, not $25 billion, and it generated $122 billion in saved healthcare costs and cleaner lakes and forests and improved visibility on the eastern seaboard. And we've almost gotten rid of acid-washed jeans. So while news reports focus on finding these renegade Republicans in Oregon, we should remember they're running away from an idea that they championed, and an idea that works. It's almost like they don't want to do anything at all. So if they don't want to pass their own market-based solution to climate change and help save the planet, the rest of us will. In the meantime, let's get to work on those plant-powered Prii and book some studio time for Nancy and the girls.